Wargaming has somewhat kind of a sophisticated type of matchmaking system. It's you matched up with 6 other random allies to try to see if you can outbest your opponents to the best of your ability. The only problem is that you don't know the statistics of these players, and you would have to kind of make an educated guess on how the outcome of the battle will turn out based on the performance that these players demonstrate throughout the process. If I were to show you an example right here, if I were to go to my friends list right here and show you guys what my old account, aka my account that I've given you to my dad before, I've played the game for about ever since a year after it came out. And I was able to have over a 55% win rate with over 15,000 battles, until lots more new people decided to want to come into the game and ruin it for other players that have a very solid win percentage, which if I were to go to my profile, you could see it's dropped down to a substantial amount. And that is why in today's video, I'm going to show you a couple examples of these teams and why it is so tragic to see a lot of these players not knowing how to play the game to the best of their ability. So, if I were to make it to my replays folder right here, I have 2 distinct replays that prove my point. So, one of them is going to be on Vineyards. I decided to use the T95E6 Piranha in both of these replays. And we're going to see right here how quickly my team ends up dying in the process. So, the battle is going to start momentarily, and we're going to make our way towards the left side because the T95E6, as some of you all may know, got combat stabilization, got a buff on its turret, so now it has better armor, especially for its hatch. And it has 10 degrees of gun depression, so you can poke over the ridge lines fairly solid. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke over this ridge line right here and see what tanks I can outmatch in the process. Alrighty, so we got a couple tanks spotted right on the other side of the map. And let's see how we can fare well. We're aiming in on that E75 over towards the left right here, who ends up poking just in a couple seconds. So there he is. We are able to spot him, and he is going to try to poke on up. Their enemy super conk ends up being in the base right there, but we were able to get a nice shot into the E75 right over there. Let's see, we're going to reload once again. Fortunately, my ping factors led to that shell bouncing and trying to overmatch his turret. So we're going to aim into him once again. He overmatched his turret that time, and we were able to get a nice penning shell into him. So what we are seeing right there is we see a Moskin poking out in the open, along with 2 Yags that are off in the backside on the left portion of the map. So, in about a couple seconds, what you are going to see is that Moskin's health get literally brought down to smithereens. He's up to 16, 14 health at the moment, and there's 1 shell from one of the Yags, and there's the second one from the other Yag, and you can already see that the Moskin, 14 health. That is absolutely crazy to even think about it. Those 2 Yags alone brought that Moskin's health to literally smithereens. And now he is dead after the Yag takes another shot into him. So I'm trying to see if I can get some shells into some of these enemies. Can't pen the Super Conqueror's turret because it's literally impervious. So the E75 tries to poke on out again. He overmatches his hull, but I wasn't able to get the shell into him as the shell flies just a bit high. There's one of the Yags, tried to get a shell into his lower plate, but it goes to the right side and hits his track. So we're going to aim in on one of the other Yags right there. We're able to get a nice shell into him, and now we are already brought down 4 tanks on our team. Our guys that were trying to outmatch these 2 tank destroyers over to the left side ended up dying in the process, which is not ideal. Or 2 of them, as a matter of fact. A medium got absolutely annihilated from some of the tanks that were over towards the right side of the map, but we were able to get the clear on this E75. Fortunately, my ping factors led to me bouncing that shell on the E75 once again, but we are still able to get the clear on him. So now it's just me and the Yak. You can see the majority of our tanks are dead at this point. So what I do is I don't want to get tunneled by the rest of their tanks that are trying to push up right behind us, like the 2 Yags, for example. So what I do is I try to go right behind this ridgeline. Our Yag gets cleared, so now it's just me. What I do is I try to farm this STI. I end up getting a fire into him, but in this next shot from him, he ends up lighting me on fire. I don't have a repair kit or anything in particular for that matter. So what I do is I get another shell into him. I do end up finishing him off, but unfortunately the enemies do end up swarming me in the very end, which was a very unfortunate outcome for this battle, as my team did not end up doing the best to their ability. And what I'm going to be showing you guys is the percentage of these players in this battle. So I was, of course, able to do top on the team. The next best guy didn't even end up doing over 2,000 damage. And here we go. We are going to be taking a look at the stats of these players. So the AMX-30, 45%. The T92E1, a 60%, with only 1,000 battles. VK-72, 42%. Jagdpanzer, 47%. The Centurion, 49%. And the Moshin, 46%. Yeah, doesn't look pretty. And let's take a look at the enemy stats while we're at it. Jagdpanzer, 53%. ST1, 52%. E50, 51%. Jagdpanzer, 47%. Leopard PTA, 45%. E75, 53%. And Super Conk, 44%. Yeah. Notice the difference right there? The majority of enemies that were on these guys' team were above probably an average of 51 or 52%. However, the majority of players that were on my team were below a 50%. It was only me and a T92E1 that were above a 60%. That just goes to show that the matchmaking system in this game is absolutely messed up. And while we're at it, we're going to be taking a look at the second battle that we were able to also prove this point. And here's the second battle here on Mines. And we are going to see how bad of a performance these players ended up putting up in the process. So what I do, since I'm in a hold down tank, I make my way over towards the hill just to try to see if I can peck off some of their tanks that are spotted in the back, or try to prevent any further heavies or any of those guys that end up pushing up on the hill from trying to tunnel us to the best of their ability. So we're going to move on upwards over here and see what we can spot in the process. So I try to see if anybody's going to try attacking the hill right here, which ends up not being the case. So we're going to continue moving on forward and seeing what we can spot. So there is the enemy FV spotted in the back. We're able to get a nice shot into him for 476. And then some of the other enemies like the Type 71 and the Object 260 move onwards as well. So fortunately, I missed the shell on the Type 71 as I was trying to overmatch his hatch. He ends up pushing up on me again, gets a nice slap into me. Fortunately, my combat stabilization didn't end up doing what it should have done, trying to aim in on his vehicle and try to hit him in his side. So, lots of their enemies are spotted trying to push up on the hill. Yak bounces the Object 260, which is highly unfortunate. And look at that, we already have a dead Super Conqueror, which is not ideal. So, we're just trying to hold off some of these enemies to prevent them further from pushing up towards us. And yeah, we can already tell that it doesn't look pretty in this battle. So, we're just going to try to fare well and see if we can try to hold off more of these enemies. Got the 260 spotted. Not able to overmatch his roof. We got the Type 71 pushing up on us again. Fortunately, I do hit his hatch, but I didn't want to pen, of course. So we got the Object 260 who's overmatching his side like that. So we are able to mosey on up and get a nice shot underneath one of his turret cheeks for a solid chunk of damage. So we're going to reload once again, and he's going to over-angle again, and we are able to get another slap into him, as yet another tank of ours gets cleared in the process, being the IS-7. Oh boy, it does not already end up looking pretty for our team. And yet another tank gets cleared in the process, being our E3. What in the world is going on? Well, there's the FV. We are not able to overmatch his roof. So yeah, and our VZ gets flipping crapped on for a pretty solid chunk. And yep, he gets finished off in the process. Now it's just me and the FV215B. And here comes the Object 260 tunneling me, as I'm able to overmatch his upper portion of his right side of his hull and get a solid chunk into him. And there goes the FV215B. And yeah, that is a very easy loss. Yeah, that was not pretty whatsoever. So, prior to that, we are going to be looking at the stats of these tanks as well. So, of course, I was able to do top on the team, and our second guy, 1197, and then the rest of our team couldn't fare well over 1k damage. So, the IS-7, 47%, Object 268, 49%, Super Conch, 46%, VZ55, 47%, T110E3, 44%, and surprisingly enough, our 215B was the only player that was above a 50%, but he did 0. That is crazy. So here's the enemy team now. 3,300 for the first two players, 22 for the majority of the rest of their players, and then so on and so forth. FE 4005, 57%. Object 260, not so good. Type 71, 49%. Grill 15, 50%. FE215B, for 55%. IS-7, 44%. And the E100, 46%. Yep. Another battle where the majority of the enemies are above an average of 51 to 52%, while my guys absolutely jack squat. Only reason I wanted to make today's video is if everybody happens to encounter these types of players, it doesn't make the game fun, Wargaming. Like, please, fix the matchmaking system. It's ridiculous having to deal with these types of players on your team. Just killing themselves in the process. Not supporting you whatsoever. And not finding the best spots on maps. Like, it's just absolutely crazy to think about. Just in general, just make it fair to have people that are about the same skill level as you. Like the same as raiding battles, for example, as a matter of fact. Well, it's just ridiculous to think about it. Hopefully you guys didn't end up enjoying today's video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure to turn on those bell notifications so you be notified whenever I upload any new videos. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.